As the Cyprus fiasco focuses attention once again on the faltering euro, the public is finally questioning the value of the money in their wallets and bank accounts. But as the issue of monetary reform gains currency amongst the public, a vast array of complementary currencies are already helping people facilitate transactions without the central bank-administered fiat money. Recent events in the EU have taught many a hard lesson: that the euros or dollars or yen or pesos in your bank account are only as secure as the bank that is holding them. In fact, the lesson is deeper than that. That the money in your bank account is not cash at all, not pieces of paper sitting in a bank vault waiting for you to withdraw them, but mere digital ones and zeros in the bank's database, capable of being subtracted from your account at a moment's notice, or even less. Cash that is not in your hand, it turns out, is not cash at all. This should be reason to give pause for thought about some of the deeper issues behind our current international financial order. What is money, after all, if it is not physical pieces of paper that we keep in our wallet? And if we don't control it, who does?
What happens in banking affects everyone, and yet few of us know anything at all about how banking really works. The entire world economy now runs on a system of credit provided by banks, and when that credit system breaks down, everyone suffers. To make things worse, the explanations for these breakdowns offered by the experts never look at the root cause, namely, that other than cash and coins, which make up just 1 to 5% of money in circulation, all the money in existence today was created as the principal of a bank loan, with the banks requiring principal plus interest as so-called repayment. Not only does this make the existence of money entirely dependent on the existence of bank credit, it makes the system as a whole bankrupt by design, as total debits, principal plus interest, exceed total assets from the moment the first loan document is signed. As the global banking system staggers towards worldwide collapse, more and more people are realizing they can no longer ignore the realities behind banking as it is practiced today. Many have lost their homes and jobs due entirely to the unsustainable practices of moneylenders. It's time people understood money and the pressing need to fundamentally change the way it works.
As opposed to the system of financial control by a few bankers, heading as it is toward a seemingly inevitable financial collapse that threatens to crash the entire world economy, there are many alternate ideas for facilitating transactions. Some advocate for a gold-backed system, or some other hard asset-backed currency that protects against rampant government printing and the possibility of hyperinflation. Others tout debt-free government-issued money, spent into the economy on infrastructure and other tangible benefits to the community, and kept in check through taxation or demurrage. Yet others believe the answer lies in more technical solutions, pointing to the recent success of the online cryptocurrency Bitcoin as an example of a different way to think about money.
On Friday, Overstock.com announced it would start accepting Bitcoin. Within a day, the site had cleared $130,000 in transactions with the digital currency. According to a tweet by Overstock's CEO Patrick Byrne, the site handled 840 orders paid by Bitcoin. Almost all of those orders came from new customers. Overstock's interest in Bitcoin comes from a desire to improve its slim margins. Byrne told Forbes the sooner the site could implement Bitcoin, the sooner it could cut out the transaction fees on purchases. We put a team of 40 people on it. We locked them in a room and slid pizza under the door and gave them hotel rooms when they needed them. Overstock partnered with Bitcoin wallet service Coinbase to provide the new payment method. Coinbase immediately converts Bitcoins back to US dollars at the exchange rate, which right now is $890 for every one Bitcoin. That rate is notoriously erratic. In December, for example, one Bitcoin was worth $1,200. In less than 3 weeks, the price had crashed by 50%. A writer for the San Francisco Chronicle points out, that's a lot of volatility, especially for a publicly traded company. But Overstock's endorsement will bolster faith in Bitcoin as a viable currency, nonetheless. VentureBeat agrees, saying Overstock's move is a step in the right direction. For it to become stable, legitimate, and usable, it has to have everyday value. It needs to be liquid and spendable, a currency rather than an asset. And now the great experiment is underway. It's unclear if other retailers plan to follow suit and start accepting Bitcoin.
While there are merits and demerits to all of these systems, it is vital that we realize the issue of monetary reform is not constrained to hoped-for changes to our current system that will possibly be implemented one day in the future in an all-at-once changeover. In fact, there exists right now around the globe examples of alternative currencies that are currently existing alongside the Federal Reserve notes and euros and other bankster-manipulated debt-based fiat money systems that are already helping facilitate transactions and grow local economies all across the globe.
Susan Witt prints her own money.
I mean, this is really high-quality paper.
But she's no counterfeiter. These are Berkshires, the local currency she developed for southern Berkshire, Massachusetts. It's a tool to help local businesses compete against the growing number of chain stores.
On the 20-unit note is Herman Melville.
The notes celebrate homegrown heroes and the beauty of the local landscape. $835,000 worth of Berkshires were printed. They're as good as greenbacks in more than 200 shops.
Nicholas can pay 30% of his tuition fees using TEM, a currency found only here in Volos. The local network for exchange and solidarity, which runs this new financial system, is based in the shop of seamstress Angeliki Ioanniti. Having an alternative currency isn't unique. There are similar networks in other parts of the world and more than a dozen here in Greece. But with 900 members and more joining every day, this is the largest in a country unsure of what money it will be using in a few months' time.
A time bank is a way to give and get services without cash. Monica Kimball is the head of the Onion River Exchange in central Vermont.
It's a great way to preserve and to raise your status quo without having to pay for it.
It's not a barter system where one person directly trades with another. Instead, people sign up through a website and list services they can provide and ones they want to get. For every hour you spend doing something for someone in your community, you earn 1 hour of credit. At the Onion River Exchange, there are 365 services being offered.
In 1934, in the midst of the Great Depression, stores and small businesses in Switzerland created a new economic system. Separate from Swiss francs, they made a unique unit without interest called VIR and operated transactions. Though this system was born from Gazelle's theory, it stopped the issue of the actual bills and limited the transaction only within the unit's VIR. The operation as a whole is conducted by the VIR Bank, and there are members throughout the country. Now, the VIR Economic Circle Cooperative is deeply rooted in the Swiss economy as a network of solidarity and includes 76,000 Swiss businesses, which make up 17% of all businesses in the country.
What kind of more expensive items can you purchase or services with the $25 and $50?
People can buy just about everything: food, transportation, clothing, housing, all the basics, and also some arts and culture as well. A lot of our members who are on AISH or fixed incomes, they're able to supplement their income through the use of Calgary dollars. So it's building the economy as well as the community at the same time.
These alternative systems do not require a resolution to be passed in Congress or Parliament, and do not require any wholesale change in the international financial order. These currencies already exist and are already thriving in numerous localities around the globe. Referred to as complementary currencies, they provide a way for communities to bypass the inflation tax and arbitrary confiscation that defines the modern era of central bank administered currency. Just as the fiat money printed up by these central banks, or issued as debt in the form of bank loans, are backed up by the collateral of the people's promise to pay later through the sweat of their own labor, so too can these complementary currencies be issued through the people's own labor. The difference being that in this system, the money is not controlled by banksters in closed-door meetings in faraway offices, but by the people themselves in their own backyards.
These colourful rectangular notes are not money, but they have a real value. You can go shopping with these bills in your wallet or pay for dinner at a restaurant. The idea of alternative or so-called complementary currencies that people or businesses agree to use for transactions within a particular area, a district, quarter or just a street, may look like something from a kid's game, but the reasons behind it are far from child's play.
First, practical. Local currencies stay within the region, developing it. Second, ideological. A lack of confidence in official currencies make people want to have something they understand, that they can control and that they can trust, and not just something that is printed, you don't know how, with no control, and leads to speculation.
Alternative forms of money have a history stretching back decades and appear to be growing in popularity, especially in tough financial times.
Play a lot with money and often risky games, but at the end of the day, ordinary people have to pay for mistakes and losses. This is why people want to have a currency that they will be sure will serve them and not go disappear somewhere in fiscal paradises, global finance systems or banks.
Today's most famous headline-grabbing alternative currency is the digital Bitcoin, but there are dozens of others in use worldwide. In France, Europe's second-largest economy, people exchange services and goods via at least 20 different types of complementary currencies, and their numbers are growing. Ghislaine is behind one such project in Montreux outside Paris. She says she never considered paying with anything other than euros until the advantages of an alternative became clear.
What bothers us with the euro is that it's definitely not just a mode of exchange, but it also became a mode of speculation to feed banks, while local currencies support local projects and develop a real economy on the ground, which means it works for us, the people.
Felka's restaurant is part of the project, along with a flower shop and organic supermarket.
There are people in the world of finance that want nothing else but to make people poorer, all for their own benefit. Why should we allow them to do that?
This sticker indicates this restaurant accepts la pêche. The word means fishing or peach in French, but also energy. And the slogan, vous avez la pêche, nous aussi, is used to express someone is in good health and full of energy, which the local currencies here in France certainly seem to be.
Experts claim complementary currencies will never replace an official one. However, if trust is undermined hard enough in conventional money, people may start looking for a different type of change.
One example of a complementary currency success story is the Ithaca Hours currency issued in Ithaca, New York. Launched in 1991 as a way to invigorate the local economy, Ithaca Hours have since facilitated millions of dollars in transactions and helped businesses and customers alike bypass the uncertainties of the Federal Reserve notes of the central banking economy. I talked to Paul Glover, developer of the Ithaca Hours system, about the project and how it has transformed the local economy of Ithaca.
Well, 22 years ago in Ithaca, New York, I noticed that a lot of people, friends particularly, had skills and time that were not being employed or respected by the prevailing economy. And while we had much desire to create things and trade them with each other and many services we could provide to each other, we didn't have the money. Since I have a background in graphic design, journalism, and arrogance, I went to my computer and designed paper money for Ithaca, New York. Pretty colorful money, with pictures of children, waterfalls, and trolley cars, and denominated in hours of labor. 1 hour note, half hour, quarter, eighth hour note, 2 hour note. Then began to issue to each of the pioneer traders who had agreed to be listed in the directory a specific starter amount. And the game began. An hour has been worth an hour of basic labor, or $10 US, which at that time, 20 years ago, was double the minimum wage. People who usually expect more than $10 per hour of their service can charge multiple hours per hour, but the denomination puts between us as residents of our community that reminder that we are fellow citizens, not merely winners or losers scrambling for dollars. It introduces us to each other on the basis of these skills and services that we have, that we are more proud to provide for each other than often is the case with a conventional job, just the stuff we have to do to get the money to pay the bills. So through that trading process, that more intimate scale process within the community, we're more easily able to become friends and lovers and political allies.
It's an inspiring story, and tell people about how much money has circulated through this community. I mean, it's important for people to understand just how successful this has been.
Because we're not a computer system, we don't have a specific volume of trading recorded, but by the grapevine, by phone surveys, and over the years watching the money move, we were able to guess very reliably at several $1 million equivalent of this money has transacted over those years, making loans without charging interest up to $30,000 value, which is the fundamental monetary revolution in our system. Then as well, making grants of the money to over 100 community organizations. So it has had a powerful cultural benefit, even greater, I think, than the millions of dollars equivalent value transacted.
Now, similar ideas are springing up all across America and around the globe. From mutual credit systems to time banking to private currencies and social currencies, there are no shortage of ideas for how to transition off of the current system in a gradual manner while increasing and facilitating local trade. I had the chance to talk to Wayne Walton, one of the organizers behind the Colorado Mountain Hours complementary currency, about this idea and how it is being implemented in the Summit County area. Let's talk about your specific example. You're there in Summit County, Colorado, where you have a number of businesses that are participating in this Hour Currency program. Let's tell people about the program that you've set up and how it actually functions. What does it look like when someone wants to go out and buy a service through this program?
I think the best place is to start where the money is birthed. So the way we can create it as a credit is Ezra Pound says, for instance, that money is a certificate of work done if it's issued as a credit. So what we do is we establish what is the value that we believe in our community. And we believe in our community, local independent businesses, that's valuable to stay in business under the threats of globalism. There's so many businesses that are running out of business because it's difficult, because the dominant monetary system funds globalism at the destruction of community self-sufficiency. We want to flip the pyramid. We value that these businesses exist. Because they already exist, they have already produced the work. We give them 20 hours just for raising their hand and saying that they'll participate, and we give them equivalent to $200. That gets them started, and by them simply raising their hand, we give them pieces of paper. When the business signs them, that's when it becomes money, because we're trying to show people that their value is the money. The same way that earlier that those businesses created the IOUs with their signature, in the same way they're creating these credits as a recording of work that has already been done. Additionally, whoever recruited that business, whatever individual, even you, for instance, if you knew a local independent business here in Summit County, or any listener, if you know any independent business here in Summit County and you get them to join, you get 10 hours. Because that is a certificate of work that you did, because you have a relationship with a local independent business, you recruited them. So by doing this, we set up a self-sufficient, self-funding barter network. These new businesses are listed in a database, and they all just look to each other, then they can go spend the currency with one another.
As with so many other ideas for resistance of the status quo, the complementary currency idea is only as strong as the public's willingness to use it. Sadly, the comfortable inertia that the status quo offers is enough to keep many from even entertaining the idea of using a different form of money. But as the people in Volos, Greece, and other cash-strapped locations around the globe are finding, having an established complementary currency can help a community survive and even thrive in the midst of the economic chaos that we can all see coming. Just as currencies like Ithaca Hours and Mountain Hours have proven themselves to be successful, so have many complementary currencies withered away from lack of community support. But in this age of Cyprus-style bail-ins, debt ceiling crises, and the ever-looming risk of hyperinflationary currency death spirals, it is incumbent on all of us to identify and support, or even create, a complementary currency system in our own local area.
Local currencies have become more popular as towns and cities try to keep local business thriving. Instead of relying on dollars printed by the Federal Reserve, locales around the nation are trying to keep their economies local. Such private monetary systems are sometimes called organic currencies. Supporters of private money say their currencies are created without debt, and critics say such plans can be dangerously unstable. One of the towns adopting a local form of monetary exchange is the college town of Ithaca, New York. The home of Cornell University is also the location of Ithaca Hours. This currency has been highly successful and is now accepted at over 900 local vendors. This program is now the model of the new mountain hours being introduced in Summit County, Colorado. Wayne Walton is a leading proponent of local currencies. He's also well known as an expert on organic money, and he has also spoken extensively on the subject. Walton is our guest on the show today. He's here to talk about local currencies and why they're becoming more popular. We'll also discuss the present acceptance of small monetary systems as well as their legal status. We'll talk about Bitcoin and hear about the possible future of organic currencies. Welcome back to the program, Wayne.
Thanks for having me on, and thanks for covering this essential topic.
Wayne, what are the advantages of local currencies?
The biggest advantage is that whoever controls money is the sovereign. Whether it be a government or a private bank cabal, whoever issues the money is the sovereign. So what we want is for power to be returned to the people so that the people themselves issue the currency.
So what gives these currencies their value?
Similar to when a restaurant owner issues a gift certificate, they're issuing money. That private contract is actually money and can circulate within the community. And what that allows that business owner to do is become a sovereign without subjects. The point is, the capacity to issue money is the true power in any community. So it's essential that we return that power to the people so that we no longer have our power usurped through the money system.
Wayne, how do local currencies fit into the legal frameworks for money as we know it?
Money, as I was saying, is just an IOU as a restaurant owner issues a gift certificate. So with respect to the legality, for instance, as you're mentioning before with Ithaca Hours, they've been doing this for 20 years. During the Great Depression, there are 3,000 local currencies. So in order to make this sort of monetary system illegal, you'd have to make gift certificates, coupons, really the same as frequent flyer miles. All of these are business owner issued IOUs. That's what we do with these local currencies. It allows the businesses to take control of the money power themselves. And this is very important because money is scarce right now. Lots of businesses are bartering already because they don't have enough bank money or Federal Reserve notes. By using this local currency, it allows everybody to get what they want without needing to use their scarce Federal Reserve notes.
Now, when you were investigating Ithaca Hours, what were the elements of it that you found so attractive and decided to employ in your town?
What's so beautifully elegant about this particular type of monetary system is you don't need gold, you don't need silver, you don't need bitcoins, you don't need anything. You don't need any of those things, those false idols of gold, silver, Bitcoin, copper, or whatever. You don't need those false idols. All you need is your community, those businesses and services. They issue the currency, and in doing so, it allows them to be self-sufficient. We can sustain life with a barter system, and our local currency is based upon that very same barter system.
Have you experienced any opposition from people accepting or using the currency that you created, Mountain Hours?
No, like anything with something that's new, there's always people that are indoctrinated to worship Federal Reserve notes. And because Federal Reserve notes are very scarce, businesses are having a hard time staying in business. And that's why businesses go out of business, is they don't have enough money and people can't pay their mortgage or their taxes and they go out of business. They default on their houses, loans, and they get foreclosed upon. Money is scarce. Because it's scarce, they're afraid to accept something other than Federal Reserve notes because they're already starved for Federal Reserve notes in order to pay their existing debts. So that's kind of the biggest hurdle, is to get people past that scarcity mindset. By having more money in the system, it allows people to get what they want using something other than Federal Reserve notes. So what we have them do is spend their mountain hours first, and that way they can conserve their Federal Reserve notes in order to pay their debts and taxes and interest.
Just how popular are local currencies now across the nation?
There's approximately 100 local currencies across the United States right now. We initiated 5 of them ourselves in various points. The idea is growing. The whole concept that we can issue money ourselves is very powerful in a world where our votes seem to matter less and less and our politicians don't listen to us, we feel disempowered when we operate within the mainstream system. But by issuing money yourself, it re-empowers people, and it's very beautiful because when the businesses sign the currency into existence, so it's very empowering for them, and often they'll give us a big hug.
You said it's signed into existence. How exactly is it brought into existence? They sign it, but explain the process for the creation of the local currency into the local economies.
The very basis of this is, as I was saying before, is when restaurant owner issues a gift certificate, the piece of paper doesn't have any value at all. The value is what they sign that contract into existence. Money is not a commodity. Money is a contract. The piece of paper isn't the value. So the way the currency is birthed in Mountain Hours is we give $200 worth of the local currency to those businesses every 3 months. The businesses sign those into existence. We don't give them anything of value. We're just giving them pieces of paper. The businesses sign those into existence.
Chairman Ben Bernanke recently made a statement about Bitcoin. He said that the digital currencies hold promise, and we're teetering very close to the 100-year anniversary of the Federal Reserve. How do local currencies differ from a digital currency known as Bitcoin?
My issue with Bitcoin is that it's based upon the value of computers and their memory. We already have a system which is very dehumanizing. The difference with Mountain Hours is human beings are the basis of the value of the currency. So we're not dependent upon gold, silver, or big computers or anything. All we're dependent upon is one another. Human beings are the basis of value for a currency system. We want to respect the value of human beings.
With local currencies becoming so popular, are there any signs that the U.S. government will begin prosecution of anyone that's using them or just simply use them as a medium of exchange?
Ithaca, New York has been doing this for 20 years. And what we're doing is essentially circulating gift certificates. So just like they have those daily deal plans and vouchers, it would be impossible to stop this sort of local currency because it's the same as coupons and gift certificates and vouchers. And thus far, the bankers that control the government haven't shut down Ithaca Hours after 20 years, and they have investigated it, but it's completely legal.
Could small-scale economies using organic money actually become more independent as a locale, sort of as a side effect from using these currencies?
Absolutely. Self-sufficiency is the very essence of what we're doing. We can spend the currency locally first. It really flips the pyramid of power. Rather than a top-down system, we spend our money here locally first. However, our local currency can be spent with other hour-denominated systems. So we've already spent Mountain Hours in Ithaca Hour system 2,000 miles away. We've also spent Mountain Hours in Clearwater Hour system in Tampa. So these systems can trade with one another, and there's a digital version of this. We have a paper-based currency, but there's a digital-based version of it called LETs or time banks. So these digital versions, we can still base this upon the paper version. And what's common among all of these systems, it doesn't cost anyone to participate. You don't have to have Federal Reserve notes first, as you would if you had a gold or silver or Bitcoin system. With our system, you don't have to have Federal Reserve notes. All you have to do is have your products and services, and that is the backing for the currency.
Wayne, last question. What do you see as the future for organic money, and how can people learn more about the Mountain Hours program?
The big push for this is the overarching idea. Christ got violent with the money lenders because they were perpetrating usury. And usury is monopoly over the money system. And Mountain Hours is a usury-free monetary system. And we're teaching communities to do this because it's the foundational revolution for humanity to take back its power by issuing the currency themselves.
That was Wayne Walton of Mountain Hours. You may be spending some of those very soon.